America is in shambles. America's in shambles, people. I don't know if you've been out there in the world looking at things. People are scared. People are hopeless. People are destitute. People are worried about the future, don't know what's going to happen. And there's good reason. Good reason. The baby boomers done fucked us. Baby boomers took everything, were selfish, and they did not ensure that the future of America was going to be in a prosperous role. And so now we're all suffering the consequences of the baby boomers. So I'm here to fix it. I'm here to solve the problem and fix it because I'm a problem solver extraordinaire, and world-class biologist. And because I care about life and I understand that life is a delicate balance of ecosystem, and that ecosystem is not maintained with order and structure, then you end up with fucking pure degeneracy, and that pure degeneracy turns it into a hellscape. And I do not want to see America turn to hellscape because Lord knows I don't want to have to cut people's heads off with my sword and put it on the stakes so people will leave me alone. So let's go over why America's in shambles. There's four reasons why America's in shambles. Reason number one is, man, people don't got no hope. Ain't no hope in these streets, man. Everybody's terrified and scared. And when you don't have hope, what leads to is depression. And depression is not a good thing because depression makes people they lose their mind. And this is worse than the Great Depression because what we're dealing with now is like the skyrocketing of prices just for common like goods and just to be able to live. People don't know how they're going to live. And when people don't know how they're going to live, they get very desperate. When they get very desperate, they do things that they wouldn't do under most circumstances. And that is a terrifying realization that I had just from studying different places of very hopeless environments. So if you look at projects in the hoods and things like that, it's a very hopeless place. And what do you see? A lot of gang violence. You see a lot of things get real savage. And I don't want to see that because if America turns into that type of thing, we're doomed because we are the beacon. America is the beacon of the rest of the world. And without hope, geez, not a good thing because we got to hope for a better tomorrow. Number two, why? We're a sick people. And not just sick physically. Like we got a huge obesity rate. We got a lot of people not eating well and all that stuff. But we're sick people spiritually, sick people mentally. And if you ever watch the mass shootings, most of the time it's because they're sick. They feel like there's no escape from the pain. And when people don't feel like they can escape the pain, they end up inflicting pain upon others and themselves. And we can't have that in this country, not in this beautiful country, not in the America I was raised in. No, I refuse to have it. Third, people are scared and starving. Animals need to eat. So if animals ain't eating and they're scared, they don't know how they're going to eat, they start doing wild things. And just look at nature, man. Like animals will eat their own babies to give them the chance to preserve and be able to continue life. And I do not want to see humans start eating babies. I used to watch The Walking Dead. Well, not watch The Walking Dead, but I would read The Walking Dead manga. And there was a group of cannibal people who ate their own people. Hey, Mr. Wolf, I'll get back to you. I'm filming on YouTube, but I will be happy to talk to you as soon as I finish up this monologue. Apologize, people on YouTube. Number three, people are isolated. Isolated. And that isolation breeds travesty because humans are social creatures by nature. Without socialization and there's no feedback to them, they end up going into the darkness on their own mind. And most people don't have very bright minds. So that darkness spirals into like tragedy. And once again, I don't want to see the tragedy. So here are my 4 steps to how we fix the shamble of the West, the great shamble of the West. Number one is if you want to fix hope, you got to help people actualize their dreams and goals. See, a lot of people have dreams and goals and things they want to do with this life, but they don't know where to start, and they don't have anybody to talk to even help them. And most of them don't have the money to even afford the help to help them get to their dreams. They don't even know what books to buy. They don't know. So you got to give people a map. You got to give people a map in a way that they can execute with reasonable expectations of how they're going to acquire said goals or dreams. Because it's not just to say like, man, go after your dreams. And that's the big problem with motivational speakers, because they give you that pep of energy for motivation, but they don't actually get you or walk you through. And like, if you look at most motivational speakers, when they get done, the grand majority of people who attend these speeches don't ever accomplish shit. And that's because there's no map. There's no individualizing of helping those people get to where they want to go. So we got to start helping people by education. Education is the number one way of helping people realize their dreams and goals. I heard a very good quote, I think, by Alex Hermanzi. He said, if you're making $70,000 and you want to get to $1 million, the only thing that's stopping you from doing that is the lack of information that you are missing out on that will help you get to that $1,000,000. There's nothing more, nothing less. See, there's no difference between a human who makes $1,000,000,000 and a human that makes 50,000 besides the information that the billionaire has in his mind. And that's why books and education is so important, because without the books and education, man, you're not going to go very far. You got to prize your education. So we got to start educating people, not just school systems the way we're doing that. We got to actually really sit people down and work with them like one-on-one. This is why tutoring is such an important thing. And we need to really just start taking this stuff seriously, man, because we're turning out crops of people who barely have the ability to do math and can barely read and write. And I talk to the young people. I talk to them. See, I work with the young. I work with the youth. And what I'm finding with the youth is there's nobody teaching them anything. They barely know how to wash their face and drink water. That's about the most they got. All they know how to do is ask for stuff and drink water and kind of wash. That's it. That's all they got. That's not good. That's a terrible recipe for disaster, because when those young people grow up and they become full, like, military age, fighting age, guess who they're going to turn the gun on? The people who didn't help them. Society, because society failed them, so they're going to say, well, bleep society. We're not going to deal with society because society didn't care about us, so we don't care about society, and that's dangerous. Number 2, how to fix sick people. Well, we got to help people get healthy again, man. Health is wealth. No matter how much money you got in the bank, if your heart don't work, what good does it do for you if you're in a hospital bed all day? So we got to help people become healthy. We got to teach them how to eat better. We got to provide better nutrition for them. We got to teach them how to work out and how to move better. Like, it's insane when you really think about it. The obesity rate in America is, Jesus Christ, like 50-60%. That is incredible, because that is an animal that does not exist. You don't look in nature and find obesity. Obesity does not exist in nature because they only take what they can get. So we got to ask ourselves, why does our environment produce obese people? What are we doing in a society that creates this epidemic of obesity and mental healthness? I mean, unhealthy people mentally, physically, and spiritually. Well, it's because there's nobody caring. We're just saying, well, you know what, figure it out yourself, and that pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Look, that was cool back in the day when, like, it was easier to live life. We gotta learn how to work together. We don't learn how to work together, we're gonna be all fucked. We're all going down, because no matter how great you may be, if everybody else around you is suffering, then your business is going to suffer. Your life is going to suffer, because you're only as successful as the people that are around you. You need other people to be able to function. You can't do everything. There's only 24 hours in a day. You can't gather all the food for yourself. You can't gather all the water for yourself. So you need to have other people around you to help you build a community. And without that, man, we're in some deep shit. So how do we fix people from being scared and starve? Well, we got to look at economics. So our money's already fake to begin with. So I don't know if anybody's aware of this. I don't know if anybody told you, but your dollar notes don't really mean anything. It's just a debt note, because our actual dollar bill, a real dollar bill, is worth up to $17,000 worth of gold. Like, that's what a dollar bill is supposed to represent. This shit that we got, this monopoly money we got, fake, not real. Now, it is real because we all believe and we trust in it. But if we end up like post World War I Germany, where inflation starts to hit fucking ridiculous numbers, where it costs $1 trillion just to get a loaf of bread, people are going to stop saying, they're going to stop believing the money. And when people stop believing the money, what do you think we're going to fall back to? Bartering. So we got to teach people how to barter again. We got to at least teach people how to exchange services to ease the economic to ease the economic pressure on people. Because if you have a particular skill that's valuable to your community, well, you should exchange that skill for other services and goods. Now, you might not be able to make money from it, but hey, guess what? If you got really good at pottery, you can give the pottery to people, and people might give you apples and bread or whatever the hell, and we'll figure out something, because everybody needs something. Everybody has a skill. And one of the things you learn about biology, you learn about life, is not all things have the same abilities. We all got different abilities. Some people are great thinkers. Some people have muscles and can move a lot of things. So you know what you do is you get the good thinker and you combine it with the muscle person, and they make something, they build things together. Because the muscle person might not be able to think good, but he can follow directions. He's a hard worker. And the thinker might not be able to be very strong, but he's very good at planning, organization, and having people follow his lead. So we got to figure out how to barter again. Figure out how to exchange things so we all come out ahead. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters, man, is that we're all growing and progressing as a species. Because, man, if not, we're all going to be doomed for extinction. And I don't know if you guys are aware, extinction is actually the rule rather than an exception. Most organisms go extinct. Actually, to be honest with you, I believe it's 99.999% of the organisms that ever existed are gone. Gone. You know why they're gone? Because they couldn't figure it out how to survive together. Or they got eaten by something else. But even then, if you get eaten by something else, it's because you and your other organisms couldn't figure out how to band together to keep that thing from eating you. So if you don't want to see us get eaten by, I don't know, like future giant centipedes, let's go ahead and figure out how to work together so we don't end up in that situation. And last, people are isolated. So how do you fix isolation? You got to build communities. And how do you build communities? Well, the first 3 steps. You teach people how to get healthy again. You make sure people have the ability to communicate. They have hope for the future. And you teach people how to barter and exchange goods with each other so we can be able to interact. Because the big problem with most days in society, and I learned this as a handyman, the loneliest place in any city is a high-rise building. Don't let the beautiful sights and all that stuff fool you. Them people are lonely. You know why? Because they're all locked up in these little cubicle cases known as apartments, and they don't interact with people. They don't go outside because it's so hard to get outside. Because if you've ever been in any of these buildings, it's like you got to go through the little parking structure, then you got to get on the elevator, and then you get an elevator, and there has to be only a certain level you can go to. You can't go to all the different levels unless you have a key card or somebody buzzes you in. And you rarely see your neighbors. You actually don't even say anything to your neighbors. You might see them maybe once or twice. And nobody knocks on the door. Everybody just lives in these isolated little boxes. And it's really quite sad when you kind of think about it. It's like, yeah, you got all this money. You're living in these huge high rises and all this other stuff. But what good is it? There's no life around you. And that's really the key to life, man. Life needs life. Humans cannot be like viable creatures just being by themselves. If you're by yourself, man, it's a terrible thing because you get no feedback. And if you get no feedback, then you end up kind of being stuck in your head. And if you're stuck in your head, tragedy usually occurs because the dark thoughts start to creep in. And see, some people don't have as bad dark thoughts because a lot of people kind of work out and they have little smaller communities of people that people communicate on like virtually. But not everybody does that. Some people are really just locked in a box by themselves, and it's kind of sad. And the more that we start to do the work from home thing, the more that we kind of isolate people, and the more you can make money on the internet, you can kind of be away from other people. The worse it gets, and the worse it gets, man, the worse the West is going to get, because then those people are going to then breed people, and then they're going to teach people their isolated ways and their distrust of other people, and then that distrust gets further pushed down to society. Until eventually we just going to be in like little like centipede pods, like kind of like in Japan or China, where they're just living in these little shoe holes by themselves. They go to work, they put on a mask, and then we have these sterile, isolated humans. And I don't want to see that. I want to see us grow and build as a society and be prosperous, because we're going to enter some really scary downtimes. I think the jungle's upon us. And the only way to get out of the jungle is to work together to be able to build something that keeps the jungle out, and we can all work together in a little band group. So I appreciate you listening, and let's try to keep America great, because if this thing falls, man, then the rest of the world is probably going to fall, because it ain't too pretty anywhere else. Don't let China fool you with the propaganda. China's fucked up out here too. Russia's fucked up out here. India's fucked up. All these countries are fucked up. Everybody's broke. Everybody poor, because a bunch of dum-dums called the baby boomers kept all the wealth. And then they're going to die, and they're going to be hospice, and they're going to try to figure out how to live forever. They're just going to keep trying to fuck us on the way out to the grave. Don't let that happen. Fight, young people. Fight, because we don't fight, we can't win. If we can't win, we don't win. We can't win if we don't fight. So if you fight, you must win. In the words of Attack on Titan, go Scouts.